adopting Omnichannel platform for effective customer satisfaction and retention strategies. And for the same, I would like to introduce the moderator. Miss Arthy Sankaran has more than 18 years of experience in helping brands in their digital transformation journey. She is passionate about all the things marketing and is excited custodians of delivering a great customer experiences. She is currently with Salesforce as a principal solution engineer in their digital experience team, helping many brands in their marketing. I would request Ms. Arthy Sankaran, Principal Consultant Digital Experience at Salesforce, to join us on the stage. And now I would request the following panelists to join us on the stage. Mr. Dharmender Narang, Senior Vice President, Chief Customer Experience Officer at IIFL Securities Limited. Mr. Ramit Mahajan, Head Customer Experience, IMEA at Henkel. Let's have a huge round of applause for all the panelists. Mr. Ankeet Gandhi, Vice President and Head Brand Activations, HDFC Bank. Mr. Dilpreet Singh, Head Loyalty CRM and Partnership ITC Limited. Ms. Meena Bhatnagar, Global Head CRM and CX Malabar Group. Let's have a huge round of applause, everybody. And Mr. Srivaths Varadharajan, Chief Operating Officer, Spice Money. I would request the moderator to kindly begin with the session.
Hello, everyone. I hope I'm audible. Yeah, okay. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Before I actually start the discussion, I just want to talk about a personal experience that I had. So about 2 months back, it was my husband's birthday, and I was trying to figure out what should I buy for him. And I think buying a birthday gift for a man is especially very difficult when he says that he's in his minimalist journey, right? I don't want any more clothes, I don't want any more gadgets, I don't want any more perfumes. But as a loyal and loving wife, I had to get him something. So it always boils down to maybe a new pair of jeans and a t-shirt, right? That's the easiest one. On your birthday, you need to wear new clothes. So the journey begins. You start with Myntra, then you go and like a brand, then you suddenly realize it's 11 o'clock, you need to sleep off. So the next day you go onto the brand's website, whichever one you like, browse through, you get a nudge, why don't you download our app and you'll get 10% off to complete this purchase, right? And then you go ahead, download the app, start your journey again, add a few things in the cart, and then you realize that you have something important that you need to finish. And these are very similar things that I'm sure all of you have been experiencing in your buying journey for a simple thing like a pair of jeans, right? So the next day I'm going out, I see that brand store, I decide I walk in, I'll just pick up something, and there I say, hey, you know what, I was looking at these slim fit designs that were there. I want to buy a surprise gift. And the beauty of it is they already knew what were the things and the colors that I was looking for, and they gave me an extremely amazing experience in actually buying the product. And I'm sure this is very relatable for every consumer, whether they are Gen Z, Gen Y, Gen X, whatever it is in today's context, that no path to purchase is linear, right? We all have different avenues, different touch points through which we can connect with a brand. And the expectation of today's customer is instant gratification and omnipresence by any brand at any of the touch points where I want to connect with them. And that's what kind of brings us to the topic for our today's discussion. And thank you so much to all of the panelists today for taking out your time. I know some of you have flown in from other cities and just landed here. So really, really appreciate the effort that you've taken. So let's start our discussion. I see the clock has already started ticking. So let me first address my question to Mr. Dharmender here. So in the context of the financial space that you are in, how do you define omnichannel customer engagement, and why do you think it's relevant in your today's business landscape?
Yeah, thanks. I think this is the most pertinent question and relevant today. When we talk about omnichannel, we are talking about omnichannel from last probably 20 years. So every time we have omnichannel approach. But the point is, when you talk about omnichannel approach from customer perspective, we have to look at, are we evolving with the times? So because the generation has evolved, the whole subsystem has evolved. If you look at last 3 years, irrespective of age, everybody has evolved in technology, right? Especially, that is the only blessing in disguise from COVID, where everybody has evolved. Everybody knows now the technology, everybody knows how to use the app. So everybody is doing shopping like her in mobile app and downloading the apps. Now, important point is, are we as a company evolving? Are we there where customer is? So you have to be there where customer is. If customer is comfortable with WhatsApp, are we there in WhatsApp? And most important part of any omni-channel is, are you providing uniform, consistent experience at all the channels? So he should not feel the difference whether he has called up your call center or he's using your WhatsApp or he is using your app. Is the experience is consistent through all the channels? So that is important. Omni-channel, everybody knows the channel which are, everybody's keep adding channels also. So whether it's a WhatsApp, whether it is chatbot, whether it is your email, calls, everything is available. But all those leads to what is that experience we deliver. Every customer has his own journey. Do we understand the journey? Are we there where customer wants us to be? That is most important. Do we have that analytics in place? Do we know if customer is more comfortable with app? Have we provided that facility to him in within app what is required? Are we complex or as simple as it is? Does everybody knows the concept of KISS, right? Is keep it simple, stupid. So are we keeping it simple or making it more complex? So the whole experience piece come into picture. So when I say omni-channel, for me the omni-channel is the what experience you deliver through every channel. The experience has to be same. That is the only channel from customer perspective, because channels are available, channels are integrated. You can have simple CRM solution in the back end, but how they are integrated and how perspective they provide to the customer and how convenient it is to deliver, that makes the difference.
Thank you, Dharmender. Ramit, let me just bring you on into this question, considering you're coming from a CG space, at least for one part of the business. How do you think this whole omni-channel engagement and interaction is relevant? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, thanks. Just to give a little bit of a background. So Henkel is a German company. We are equally into the consumer space, which is hair care, laundry, as well as adhesives. We have the hair care as well as the adhesives business here in India. And so I'll speak from both their perspectives. As far as hair care goes, we launched in India first only for the salons. We came only with the professional route. We did not really come into the consumer route. It was very recently that we came kind of in a much more full-fledged way where, with e-commerce, with the retail shelves and, pretty much omni-channel now. On the adhesive side, of course, it's even more, let's say, complex. We have a lot of industrial customers and we have consumer customers, and we have a wide spate of industries. We have consumers. We are now getting into e-commerce. We are, in fact, you'll see my designation there. It's customer experience. Till the January of this year, we did not have a position called customer experience, even globally. So we realized the importance of getting into the not just a transactional relationship with the customer, but to have an end-to-end experience for the customer. I think Dharmender spoke very well about utilizing the various channels. I just want to add one, is the end-to-end customer journey. So when the customer is prospecting with us, right up to the customer has taken the material from us, or even when it's an after-sales kind of a service in case of, let's say, many of our context. It's a very uniform experience that we are now targeting. And the importance of the whole omni-channel experience comes from that fact. We have to make sure that the customer is getting exactly the same experience in the beginning of the journey, through the journey, and right till they are with us. Most of our customers, whether it's consumer or it's industrial, there are long-term customers, and that's something that we kind of take pride in. And I think that's, even though we are formalizing the whole customer experience bit now, of course, we've always had this journey, but now we are far more conscious. We're using far more tools. We are using far more processes to get to this journey.
Great, thank you, Ramit. Moving on, Meena, this is something that probably I want to hear from you, considering you're coming from a jewelry brand, Malabar Gold, and I think all the jewelry brands are very, very close to their customers, right? There is always a message coming in on an offer for a Dhanteras or a Var Mahalakshmi thing. There's always a reminder that the gold prices have gone down, or we've got new latest designs and all of that. I think what I want to hear from you is, are there any brands or any successful companies that you kind of look up to, right? Who've really built successful omni-channel strategies that you kind of take inspiration from? So any examples would love to hear. And definitely would love to know if anything that Malabar is also doing beyond the normal course.
Okay. So let me start with the first part of the question, that omni-channel journeys, right? Successful omni-channel journeys. So retail has always struggled with omni-channel journeys. I mean, I've gone across multiple retail outlets and seen that they really struggle with omni-channel journeys. So I will specifically call out organizations that I have seen and I've worked with, which have actually had a bent of mind of online first and then moved into retail. Automatically, you will see that their omni-channel journeys have been successful. An example is Lenskart, right? Another example probably is a Bluestone or a Carrot Lane. Both of these are very different from the traditional jewelry markets, like you mentioned, Bluestone and Carrot Lane, because they have been able to first look at how the generations are moving across the online space, and then used that presence to fulfill the walk-in requirements in the store. So they're already omni-channel. They don't have to grow into an omni-channel space. Vis-a-vis organizations that have existed for the last 70 years, 50 years, who are now joining the bandwagon and understanding that being omni-channel is required. So of course, their successes will come at a slightly slower pace, but they're all reaching there, including Malabar.
Thank you, Meena. Srivaths, if I could just get your thoughts on this, and in context of Spice Money also, would be interesting to know what is it that you guys are doing.
Yeah, just to set the context, Spice Money, it's India's largest rural fintech organization. We've got around about 1.2 million merchants. We are into payment space, travel tech, and lendtech, all three put together. In terms of context of omnichannel, we are a B2B2C platform, which means our core journey is built for our end merchants and distributors to serve to their end customers, which means we are talking about tier 3 and tier 4. So India's got around about 6 lakh villages, and we are available in 2.5 lakh villages. And these are all entrepreneurs who are self-sufficient, digitally savvy, who are helping the end customers to withdraw cash, deposit cash, do domestic money transfer business, or booking of tickets, travel tickets, flights and other things, and also other services like taking loans and insurance and other products. What becomes very important for him is from the enablement perspective, right? So he doesn't have a separate digital book where he remembers who is his customer, but on the top of his mind, he knows that these are the top 10 customers who keep walking into my shop and whom I'm serving. His major core business is into Kirana store probably, and 20% is the business that they earn money from us. But the irony out here is he doesn't know that who is a profitable customer for him. So he thinks that the maximum walk-in that comes from a particular customer who will be buying probably a low-ended product from him, which will not be having much margin, he might think as him as a loyal customer and he would want to serve him. Okay, so now when this perspective actually comes, here is where the data distinction happens. The industry has got itself matured in terms of identifying the channels through which it can connect to customers, like voice, non-voice, your bot capabilities and everything. But where the industry has failed is to disjoint and understand that the primary core out here is not a customer, it's the data. So when you understand the data sensitivity and then distribute the data into multiple channels, that's where the omni-channel actually kicks in. We have gone into a reverse order. So we have now, what we have done, we have opened up multiple channels, multiple databases where it goes and sits, and these databases doesn't talk to each other. And one of the core reasons for this is the reason why the omni-channel exists but is inefficient. So why it has to be efficient is because these channels comes under a cost, and if you have to be effective and if you have to be efficient, then you need to be in context. So first principle is understand the preferred channel of the customers. So you might have 12 channels to serve the customer, but first understand what channel he prefers, he maximum want to be in. And then understand in context what do you want to deliver, and then build the data about his life cycle. Even today, if you look at large financial services organizations, the same customer would have probably opened a current account, he would have had a insurance product from him, he would have got a credit card, but he'll be struggling because he'll not have one customer ID, he'll have multiple customer IDs. And the relationship manager himself does not have a clue how many products of the same bank or financial institution he has. Now, this problem statement is not of the relationship manager. The problem statement is the way you architect the entire data structure and the way you connect it back to the omni-channel capability. So here is where I think the data analytical tech capability has to kick in. And really help the customer service team, relationship management, Salesforce to really help. The entire architecture and technology today is built in reverse order. It needs to be re-architected. That's the only way we can solve the problem for the industry. Across industries, the problem is same.
No, absolutely. I don't think it's very unique to the space that you are in. And I think what you've said is a very important point that, while you can be omni-channel, you can, reach out to customers across different channels of engagement. Ultimately, it all needs to converge into one, space where you are able to build that elusive 360-degree view of the customer, through which you can then obviously focus more on building customer satisfaction and retention. So let me bring in Dilpreet here, and I think just going along the same thought, Dilpreet, ITC was obviously into many different lines of businesses. We've all interacted with ITC as a brand, either through their hospitality or through their other products that are there. How do you think ITC is able to maintain a consistent brand image and messaging across any of the channels that as a prospective customer I might engage with the brand?
Sure. So firstly, if I'm talking about the content part or the brand image which is there, so I'll just give you an example. So today, irrespective of the channel, whenever, personally, I prefer two brands. One is Coke, the second one is Indigo. So today, irrespective of whatever channel they are using, whether it's a kind of a print media, the digital ads which is there, so the moment you will be able to see the red bottle or a kind of a arrowed airline which is there, so you will be able to make out that this is for Indigo, this is for a Coke. So that is a kind of a brand recall all the brands have to work on. That is one. Now coming to your part in terms of how I would say the alignment has to be made wherein the brand is doing it right all the time. So I believe again it comes over the period of time. So first and foremost would definitely be to have a proper brand guidelines in place. So unless and until you are not having the brand guidelines in place, so every time you will be kind of reaching out to your consumer through multiple channels, through multiple mediums, there is a very, very high chance that you will be kind of missing out on delivering the message which you intend to deliver. So that is one thing which needs to be kept in mind, that the brand guidelines which covers primarily what is the ethos or the mission of the organization with which it is operating. That is one. Second is what is the tonality with which it is going and reaching out to its customer. The kind of, I would say, the services it is providing in that space. So that would be there. Second part to that is the consistency. So it's not that once you have the brand guidelines in place and every time it's just a kind of a cut copy paste. So I always say this thing it's very easy to copy, but it's very hard to paste. So that plays a very vital role, that even if the brand guidelines and everything is there, unless and until you are not able to adapt that or customize that in accordance to what your consumer is looking forward to, the purpose is defeated. That is there. The third important part here would be, I would say, automation, because today when most of the brands are kind of working on, I would say, a very, very scalable model in terms of consumer base is not running into thousands or lakhs, but it is actually running into, I would say, millions and billions. So the automation plays a very important role. because human intervention to some extent will not make a very huge difference, because like again, today when I'm talking about the channels or talking about the print, so I would say within the digital only there would be approximately 15 to 20 vital channels which are there. So as a human, it is very, very, I would say, impossible to kind of deliver the message on all the mediums by maintaining the, I would say, the brand ethnicity which is there. So automation will play a very important role. Last but not the least would be training your employees, because ultimately like the end mile delivery has to happen through your employees only. Again, a very prime example would be there is a never ending war which goes between the iOS users and the Android users. So which one is better? So today when you talk about like why iPhone, so I would say 7 out of 10 people is iPhone to iPhone. But the thing is like the real test is like when you are able to explain that, okay, so like why iPhone is iPhone and what are the benefit it is getting apart from what Android is not able to offer. That is there. Then I also just want to add to Mr. Narang's point where he said that COVID was one of the, I would say, a radical shift which is there, because I believe like during the COVID, so it has, what it has done is that the digital lead time, I would say the digital transformation lead time has brought down drastically during the COVID. So even the industries such as hospitality or few other traditional industries which were like that we are not digital savvy and we will only be kind of operating in the physical space only. So like they have also changed. So external factors also plays a very important role. Last but not the least, I would say like all the channels will come and go, but word of mouth is something which is going to stay. So I would say invest in experience and channels will come and go.
Thank you, Dilpreet. So, Ankeet, if I could just bring you on this. So, what Dilpreet is saying is context, ethos, experience, and insight-driven marketing, right, is what is going to kind of help us ensure that that consistency remains across all of the channels. So, any thoughts on from your end? Yeah.
Sure. So, for example, okay, what is one thing that you would remember while interacting with any brand, right? And in a way, it is the experience that they leave with you. That experience somewhere germinates from what the brand stands for, or what is the brand's promise, right? If that promise is in its truest sense taken over any channel, be it omnichannel or be it a single channel, I think the unified experience that the customer gets or the unified messaging the customer gets plays the most important role, right? If you don't have a promise which is so strong that can be translated across all channels, across the geography, then somewhere your omnified or your omnichannel approach will not work, right? Because it will be a disjointed effort where if someone say, for example, I work at a bank, right? My experience at when you come to a branch versus what you see on the net banking, if it is very different, you will not feel that this is the same place where I bank with, right? And eventually customers who are in a journey where they are looking at an omni-channel experience, they will start not associating with you at all. So I think most important is to ensure that you have a brand promise which is so strong and which is carried forward whichever channel you decide to operate with, right? Secondly, like how Dilpreet said, somewhere the consistency also matters, right? If I'm seeing the brand in a different light and in different channels, I'll not relate what the brand stands for or is this really that same brand which I experienced, right? Also, these days, the customer journey starts from the internet usually, right? Like you said, you're looking for a gift, right? You didn't go to a store. You started looking for a product online, right? In BFSI especially, what happens is there are certain products which can be directly bought online. For certain, you have to start online and then move on to offline, right? If that journey is not simple, if it's not smooth, if it's not going to give me that same taste of what this brand stands for, again, I'll have a major disconnect. Because a promise which has been made online, if it is not fulfilled offline, it'll be a huge disconnect. So I think this is one important thing which every brand needs to keep in mind, that if there is a promise that you're making, make sure that all your channels are following it and all your channels are also carrying that voice forward.
Got it. So irrespective of where you interact, that consistency needs to be there. So Ramit, I'm going to bring you in here again. Do you think that customer expectations vary across different industries in terms of experience or in terms of, how or what kind of an experience they will get from a brand? And, if you could talk from your perspective from the CG and manufacturing side, if you built any specific omni-channel strategies to meet those specific needs, depending on the industry where you've kind of got experience in.
Yeah, so let me talk about, there's an interesting study that we did. So I'm part of a consortium, a customer experience consortium for the manufacturing industries. It's an international consortium. We did a study fairly recently, regarding customer expectations and customer experience. We spoke about COVID. So one of the interesting things that we learned was that actually when COVID just hit us, the customer experience indicators actually became better. And then over a period of time, over the next few months, they actually became worse. And we were actually surprised to some extent why this was happening, and then we dug deeper. So what had happened was that when COVID immediately hit us, the customer expectations went down. The customer expectations went down, and therefore, and most of the companies, with whatever resources we had, we kind of went full blast, and we were able to meet those minimal expectations or exceed those minimal expectations. And therefore, the experience scores came out to be higher just when COVID hit. And then, of course, all these containers got stuck on the ocean, and then the customer expectations built up. But because there was such a traffic jam on the entire supply chain, the customer expectations went up, and the experience did not, meet up to that. So the customer expectations, one, they have a huge role to play as, when it comes to customer experience. And then coming to your, the other question about, whether it's different across different industries. Yes, my experience has been, yes, it has been different across different industries. So for example, for me, an automotive customer and automotive OEM, typically would have expectations of getting material literally on a just-in-time basis. While a more, let's say a packaging customer or maybe another customer or even a steel customer would not have the same expectations. It probably depends on the pace of the industry, depends on the innovation in the industry. And then of course, when I come to the consumer side, it's a very, very different set of expectations that I have and which I need to match up to in terms of the experience.
Interesting. So let's move on to the insights part of it with something that Dilpreet spoke about and Srivaths spoke about, the data part of it. So Mr. Dharmender, if I could get your view on this, what do you think is the role of AI and automation in enhancing the entire customer experience and customer satisfaction?
Very interesting question. I would say we are living in a very exciting world as of today. The way the things have moved on is so fast that probably we are catching up with it every day. So if you look at the things have moved, earlier used to be IoT only, right? Then immediately we talked about big data. So everybody talked about analytics, big data, data cuts. And then we see that after everything moving so fast, people talk about personalization. And then from personalization, it becomes hyper-personalization. Now, it is not the segment, not the industry, but a customer becomes a segment for you. Now, how can you design an offering for a particular customer? So that is what the best piece of any hyper-personalization. So we are still on that way, right? So when we start delivering services, we have to look at how we customize our offering to each customer, then how we can service that each customer per se. Now, if you look at the technology is moving so fast that every technology becomes a table stake within 6 months. If you look at chatbot, nobody's talking about chatbot today. It is expected, it is there, right? It is there in every website. Everybody has it. So it becomes a table stake. People talks about bot. So everybody knows what's a bot or voice bot. Everybody has it. So every technology becomes a table stake, and it is moving very fast. And the whole industry gets disturbed. If you look at now the latest trend, which is your generative AI, right? Now, if you include a generative AI in your bots, then the question will come, do you need a call center at all? I don't know the future. So that is the very exciting time. Still, we don't have people who are very comfortable. We have voice bot, but people are still not very comfortable talking to the machine per se. How good it is NLP might be. They still talk to it and then they say they want to speak to the agent. Okay, so we are moving so fast that even public customer is running behind it. So this is how the generation is going to change. At the same time, if you look at millennials, they are very comfortable, right? They don't want to wait in the queue. They don't want a time fix that you call up. They want 24/7. They want on the fly. They want at 12 o'clock. If they want something, it has to be there. So though the challenge for the company is to cater to the both of the segments, which is still, one is your, I would say, the customers who are used to your service, and second, people who don't want to have a face, they want the service. So that is how you have to cater to both these segments, whether it's a complete digital or a physical, but give the same experience at both the levels. That is where the AI is coming into picture. Like best example is which you personally has given when you're talking about purchasing, and you got best of the options to buy for. That is the success of AI. So if they can identify what is your need is, they are able to deliver you the goods, they are able to give you the options to buy. So that is there where we are going towards. So that is a one step forward towards hyper-personalization. They know what you have and they give you choices. And when you have choices, you end up having the best of your choice. And the same if it gets delivered, that is what the customer wow experience is. So far we have been talking about delight, and this is a step forward towards the delight. And still it's an abstract term, we don't know what the delight means, but still it creates a wow for you. So that is what the AI would, how AI is used is more important than what AI we use. So if you are able to integrate your generative AI with your chatbot, if your chatbot can give the responses which is correct, not hallucination where you get the wrong answers. So if you are able to fine tune it and you get the right answers every time, and NLP is as good as, I have seen certain news channel who give the weather report where there is a lady, which is a robot, give you the weather report. So if customer is comfortable in talking those languages and listening and talking to that lady, so probably your 90% of the work is done, because only 10% people who actually have problem, 90% have information, or they need some, either the information or have a simple things, whether they need a statement or whether they need something else. So actual core problem people will be hardly 10 to 20%. So you look at, you save cost, you improve experience, you kill the time borderlines. So the whole, I think from 5 years from down the line, the things will be totally different. I'm still not getting into metaverse, that is a different ball game altogether. So that's my view, thanks.
So efficiency and hyper-personalization is where you think that's going to kind of take us there. All right. So now let me bring in Dilpreet. What kind of metrics and KPIs do you feel need to be kind of monitored and tracked to really understand the effectiveness of the omnichannel strategies? I'm sure as a brand, we are all tracking your click-through rates, your return on ad spend and some of those things. But are there any specific indicators that kind of tell you as a brand that this is working, the whole omnichannel strategy? So any thoughts on that?
So as everyone says that you will not be able to manage unless and until you are measuring it. So measurement plays a very important role, that is there. We will be coming to the KPIs and all. However, like again, at a personal level, I say like there is something called a ARM model, which I follow, ARM, which is your attention, retention and mention. So when I'm talking about the attention, so that is primarily like the TG which you are having. So like again, if you are able to grab the attention of your TG in terms of the kind of communication which you are reaching out to them or the offers which you are sending to them, so that is one of the indicator that whatever you are doing and the investment which you have done is going in the right direction, that is there. The second one is the retention, which means like again, if you are able to retain more and more people into your ecosystem, So that is also something which can be considered as a win-win for you. The third and important aspect is mention, which is like when your customers are becoming your brand ambassadors and they are talking positively about you, I would say in the digital space also and otherwise also in their friends and family. So that is something which can be considered as a, I would say, a situation wherein the brand has delivered what it intended to deliver. That is there. Now coming to the KPI, so I would divide it into two parts. One would be the quantitative, the second would be the qualitative. So like again, as you mentioned few, so like in terms of the quantitative, so first and foremost would definitely be the customer retention rate, which is there. Because again, I would say, when you're talking about the customer retention, so that is a very, very important and significant aspect of every business, because just by acquisition, you will not be able to kind of gain a momentum and get a market share unless and until you are able to retain people. So retention plays a very important role. So like you have to very particularly, I would say, capture also and track also like what is the customer retention rate and how frequently you are able to maintain that thing and increase that thing. That is one. Second would be like if you are able to increase the share of wallet. So like again, today every brand has forayed into multiple, I would say, product ranges and everything. So like if you are able to kind of shift the consumer from one, I would say, aspect, one business to the other business or the category which is there, that is also considered as a positive sign for the brand that, okay, so like you have been able to increase the share of wallet, that would be there. The third would be like again some of the, I would say, indicators in terms of how people are responding to your communication, in terms of your open rates or CTRs, the conversions which are happening, that would be there. Another aspect to this would be the profitability. When I'm talking about the profitability, if I just talk about the hospitality, hospitality is having a lot of dependency on OTAs, which is the online travel agents which are there. So today, most of the leading hospitality brands, what they are doing is that they are kind of developing a mechanism wherein they are able to get more and more business from their direct channels, which is their contact center, which is there, or the mobile app, or the brand website, which is there. So like if you are able to kind of get more and more business through your direct channel, hence cutting down on the commissions which you are paying to these aggregators. So that is also one of the parameter which would be there. Now coming to the qualitative aspect, one would definitely be the CSAT, which is the customer satisfaction score, which is there. NPS would be there. So like how frequently or how well your consumers know you and they want to refer you in their friends and family, that would be there. How well they are talking about you on the social platforms, like what kind of, I would say, positive sentiments they are expressing on the social platform, that would be there. Are customers complaining less or no? So like I call it a kind of a C2C thing where it is actually from complaint to compliment. So if you are able to shift the needle from complaint to compliment, then that is one of the biggest sign that you are able to deliver what you have promised to your consumers.
Great. Srivaths, probably I'm very curious to know in your industry, how do you measure it in the B2B space?
See, these are common matrices across industries, well established, and to be very honest, these are functional KPIs you need to measure to prove the investment that you have done. But the simple measurement, if you look from an entrepreneur perspective or a founder perspective, either it has to increase your business and reduce the cost. You need to be profitable. As simple as that. I really appreciate whatever Dilpreet said. These are the matrices across the organization people measure. But if a business doesn't grow the top line and bottom line, none of them is of any use.
I think at the end of it, Dilpreet did say profitability is an important indicator.
Yeah. So he gave all the matrices, and in the end, he summarized it very beautifully, saying
ultimately profitable.
If top line doesn't come, and if profit doesn't come, all these matrices you have to put it in dustbin, including the channels.
Got it.
You have to exist.
Great. So Ankeet, if I could bring you in, we are going to talk about one of the most expensive channels of communication, which is the social media channel. And very interesting to hear in one of the earlier speakers that social commerce is really picking up. I mean, that was one of the trends that I really picked up from there. I want to understand, what do you think, is social really paying off, right? Is that really something as a channel that you feel is a critical channel for you to engage with, especially in context of, the banking sector, right? Do you feel it becomes a very prominent channel of engagement, and should all brands consider having a significant social presence as part of their omni-channel strategy?
So yes, social is expensive, because if you make a mistake on social, that will be really expensive for the brand, right? But otherwise, social is not that expensive. It's as good as any other media channel, right? But overall, I think where social media plays a huge role is to keep listening to what your customer is saying, right? Your customer is always talking to you. They may not be directly coming to your channel and talking to you, right? Those would be customers who are not really happy with the product. But otherwise, they are talking to you. They are continuously having conversations. They are giving feedback, right? Be it on a Play Store, App Store, be it on Facebook, Instagram, wherever. So it's important for one to really keep listening to those conversations and trying to understand where is the customer heading with the brand, right? And therefore, where should then the brand also pivot, right? Because of course, there are the traditional methods of doing customer research, right? But those are of course expensive. Plus, those also are in a way a little limiting. But social media is an open box, right? You just put up a platform which can listen to your conversation about your brand, about the category, and you will know a lot of insights which probably even a research won't give you, right? Because that's what we've done in the past also, we keep doing. So social media is paying off, at least in a way where we know, one, that this is a channel where we can actively listen to a customer, right? Second, the customer knows that this is one channel where they can come and really give a feedback, and where they'll be heard and they'll be responded immediately. Because if you see, none of the brands, even if, say, if you call it a call center, if they are not able to solve it, eventually you will put out a post, right, on their Twitter or on their Facebook, and you know for a fact that within an hour or two, someone will get back at you, right? So I think this is where this channel is very important from a customer satisfaction and retention point of view, because like I said, in Omnichannel, if you are able to give them that experience of the brand on this platform as well, and if you are actively listening to them, you will be able to better serve them in future as well. So in a way, social media is paying off us well. Of course, from a product conversion point of view, some of the products also do very well in BFSI also. But otherwise, I mean, if I see a funnel, it is a great awareness funnel for me. Even at times, because of the word of mouth that happens there, it also becomes a great consideration leveler. But of course, eventual conversion doesn't happen for all products, but some products even conversion happens.
Understood. And any thoughts on brands who might be struggling, or how do they leverage this effectively? So are you saying that when you're thinking about social, don't just think of it as an acquisition channel, but also as a channel through which you can really get to know your customers, right?
Absolutely. So I think different brands have different objectives with social, but social is such a powerful tool where if you apply all the objectives, right from creating awareness to creating consideration to knowing your customer, knowing their satisfaction, all of it can be covered. It's a parallel universe in itself, right? And I think in the past 7-8 years, digital command center as a term has started cropping up in most organizations, right?
Yeah.
Those command centers are meant for such things. They are meant to continuously know about what the customer is saying about the brand, what the customer is really wanting from a particular category. And you can also listen to what they're talking about the competition, right? And that's the best thing. You know that they are not happy with a certain kind of a product. Right time for you to pitch in another product which will really satisfy their needs.
Great. Okay, coming to the last question, Srivaths, this is for you. So how do you think companies can adapt their omni-channel strategies to, kind of keep up with the rapidly changing consumer behavior? And where do you think we are going from, we've done the social bit, we've done the WhatsApp, where do you think we are heading to now?
So first is for the traditional organization, just to be on the race, they need to quickly adopt. That's a strategy they need to apply. For people who have already done and understood, they need to be futuristic. Now, if you go and talk to Gartner and other things, they'll talk about a lot of fancy stuff, right? But you can just simplify things. You need to connect to your India stack. Like, for example, let me give an example. Someone is walking into the branch. The salesperson welcomes him, asks for his mobile number, puts the data into the CRM database. In next 30 seconds, the data comes in, and then you start interacting. The future is going to be facial recognition. So you have an India stack which is already integrated with Aadhaar. You walk into the branch, the camera captures your face. It throws in the data outside. You don't have to ask the customer his mobile number and know. You can greet him with the name. Okay, the next feature is going to be how much of man behind the mission is going to be. These are for tier 1, tier 2 cities, for particular specific segment of customers who want to be in the digital branches, irrespective of the product types that are there. So there will be a lot of combinations of humans and AIs working. AI is working in areas where human can be better effectively used in some other intellectual areas, and where it's a redundant routine task, you need to put machines. Areas you have to, where slightly complex comes, data is not curated, you have not done enough of machine learning, enough of data, you need to have a man behind the machine. So it's a hybrid composite approach that you need to take. Your traditional omni-channels are going to be redundant very soon. Because the way the India Stacks is building, the government is building the India Stack far more superior than all the big corporates. You take any sectors, they are far behind government. You have data integrated between PAN and Aadhaar. You have facial recognition data, you have thumb recognition data, you're not leveraging it. Some of the BFSI sectors are leveraging just for onboarding the customer. You have voice recognition platform coming, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but the accuracy level claimed by the government on facial recognition is 99%. So this is where the future lies. If you have to use a tool, put the data and then interact, then you're already dead. You're not leveraging the infrastructure built in the India Stack by the government. So you need to be really fast in leveraging what is there. Should not be waiting for the perfect stage to come in. It's always experimentation. Who comes in the race first does a better job. Two things will happen. You will fail in 30, 60, 90 days, or you will scale. If you scale, you are ahead of the curve. If you fail, you have a next experimentation that you can do in terms of interaction, channels, and creation. Also, the most important thing is you must realize that what is the need for multiple channels, right? The first thing is your design experience. The biggest flaw in all the industries is the design thinking is not the core part of any interactivity or design of the product. Be it app or web, the design thinking principle doesn't come. You don't think from a customer segment perspective and design the app. It reduces your cost of training, cost of adoption, and interactivity. Since you have done a very poor design approach, you have not done your enough understanding of what kind of a design needs to be built in terms of simplification, less number of clicks, better design, depending upon the kind of customers, regional languages. India is diversified. You've got 140 crore people, 61% in rural India. Most of the people sitting out here are serving just tier 1 and tier 2. Tier 3 and tier 4 is 61 crore population. That is where the money lies in. That is where financial inclusions are. That is where your actual consumption of product is going to come from rural India. That is where you're going to become an $8 trillion economy. So does one size fit all? No. Areas where there is phygital, put phygital. Areas where there is digital, put digital. And area where there is tier 1, tier 2, don't put omnichannel. Be far more advanced, put facial recognition and other things. So have a hybrid strategy. Keep in mind your cost, keep in mind your profitability and growth. That's it.
Great. That was fantastic. So I think this brings to the end of our discussion today. So I think a lot of interesting insights. I got the ARM principle from Dilpreet, which I think everybody should probably keep that in mind. Of course, ultimately resulting into the profitability piece. I think all of us acknowledge omnichannel is there to stay. It's just about how do you make it more efficient. And of course, at the backbone of it, I think ultimately it's the data that's really going to empower that, right? And AI and Gen AI and some of the technologies that you spoke about is actually going to accelerate that whole thing. So thank you so much. I think in the interest of time, we can probably take 1 or 2 questions in case there are any questions to the panel. So please feel free to ask. You can raise your hand. We can get the mic over to you. Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful panel discussion. Thank you. My question is to Srivaths. You come from a very interesting sector, rural sector. I mean, the service is there. Now you've seen internet information explode like never before. And if I can say, each and every citizen would have a mobile phone with a lot of information. 2 questions. Has that reduced the gap between urban and rural? Number 1. And number 2, is there any special strategy or approach for the rural, that 60% that you spoke about, to reach for?
Internet has reached rural India, but the adoption of smartphones is still less. There are still segment of feature phones which exist in rural. That is the reason Reliance has come with 20 crore feature phone at the rate of 999 rupees. So we must be cognizant of this in the rural India, that a hybrid approach will always work for another 5 to 6 years. Digitization will play. Most of the phone adoption users are more into content-based adoption, in terms of internet. But it's still in terms of purchase, the trust doesn't exist in rural India. The trust will get built only through a phygital model where the channel and the franchise or the distributors are more digitally adopted, and then it will take another 5 years for India to get into that path. So it's a phygital model that you need to apply for rural India. But you need to be there across all channels. But distribution, empower distribution with technology, empower distribution with smart interactivity to serve rural India better. For B2C, it's still a long way to go.
Any other question? We still have time. All right. Thank you so much.